Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. The alliance, the friends, the lovers, the unity starts showing not big cracks, but canyon cracks in their unity. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the tanks issue. Now, we all know that tanks will be delivered, and I'm not talking about T 72s, the Soviet Russian made T 72s. No, 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 no. I'm talking about Abrams tanks, Abrams 1. I'm talking about Leopard 2. I'm talking about Leclerc tank, the French one. Um, they're coming. We all know that. But I don't know why everybody in the alliance, in the unity, they are pushing one another. You go first. No, no, you go first, you go first. These guys are very hesitant in sending their tanks, but the Poles are ready to send theirs, which are not theirs, but they are manufactured in Germany. But they really can't because they're under contract. That means if you received Poland, you received a Leopard 2 tank made obviously in Germany, you can't send it to or give it to a third party. You have to ask for permission from the manufacturer, the Germany, blah blah blah. And if they say yeah you can do it, then you do it. Until then you can't really do it. You have to ask the Germans. The Germans are like, what should we do? We are ballless. But it seems like not ballless. It seems like Germany got something over there, when you're cold and you have goosebumps, that's what Germany got in between its legs right now. A little goose bump and like, oh, balls are growing. Well, it seems like, and I'm very surprised, and I congratulate the Germans that they do that because I have a soft spot for Deutschland. I was about to say Deutschland Uber. Anyway, so let's leave Haydn alone. So let's go and see what's going on here. This article comes from Sputnik, where we have a senator, which is from today, the article. We have a senator that weasel, Lindsey Graham, I think is from South Carolina, that is he's tired of this shit show. So he is coming in front of the cameras and saying, you know what, Germany should give the Ukrainians their tanks. We should give the Ukrainians the tanks and let the Russians basically. So let me read you the title for this article. I'm quoting Mr. Graham. I'm tired of this show. End quote. Washington and Kiev fume as Berlin holds off on tanks for Ukraine. Now, it's very hard because a lot of pressure is put on Germany to give Ukraine tanks, and Germany is not doing that. Even the defense minister, that person was removed. She removed herself, supposedly. But it's still, it seems like Lambrecht, I think is her name. Lambrecht. All right, let's see. Washington and its allies have put pressure on Berlin to become the first continental European NATO power to send large quantities of heavy main battle tanks to Ukraine, despite fears that doing so would escalate tensions with Moscow. On Friday, US and German officials announced that no decision on the tanks had been made. Now, I congratulate, not that I don't want the Germans to do anything, it's their interest. They do whatever their interest dictates. This is what I'm talking about. I don't want to. No, I don't want to. It seems to me that Germany is under US's. You know what I mean? Like that. And if Germany doesn't do something US want them to do, then it's a big thing. And Germany was yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. And this is the first time when I hear the Germans really saying, "Nein, sei ruhig, take it easy, stay there." And I'm quoting. You may have heard the German Minister of Defense says earlier that they've not made a decision on the provisions of Leopard tanks, end quote. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin said Friday at the subdued joint press conference with Joint Chief Chairman Mark Milley following a lengthy meeting at Ukraine Defense Contract Group at Ramstein Air Base in Germany. Ramstein, if you don't know, guys, it's an American military base in, yes, sovereign Germany, because Germany wants them to be over there to defend them from anybody else, all the other wolves. And I'm quoting Mr. Austin here. What we're really focused on is making sure that Ukraine has a capability it needs to be successful right now. So we have a window of opportunity here between now and the spring when whatever they commence their operation, their counteroffensive, and that's not a long time. And we have to put together the right capabilities. Austin says, yes, you NATO have to put the right capabilities for those guys to fight for you. Okay. Now we have here Lindsey Graham says this, right? I'm tired of this, I'm quoting, I'm tired of this show of who is going to send tanks and when they are going to send them, end quote. Hawkish, South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, a weasel, vented Friday. Well, took some farts. And again, I'm quoting Mr. Graham to the Germans. So he tells the Germans, a senator of U.S. tells the German state, Deutschland, mighty Germany, to the Germans, and I'm quoting, send tanks to Ukraine because they need the tanks. It is in your interest that Putin loses in Ukraine, says Graham. And I'm continuing, quoting, to the Biden administration, send American tanks so that others will follow our lead, end quote, he urged. Why not the other way around? Anyway, so this is what's going on here. Lindsey Graham wants to have these guys send tanks to do something to the Russians. That's fine, but I don't like that a little weasel does that. I mean, he can say whatever he wants, but that tells you what's in his little, you know what I mean? But anyway, now we have here another person. We have the Poles. The Poles want to send tanks. They said, I think the Duda said that they're planning on going ahead sending Leopard tanks without the Germans' approval. Now that's very bad among allies. Wouldn't you think so? Yeah, I think so. And that's I mean it's really and it says here Soskin dismissed Washington's assertion that Abrams tanks are too heavy and difficult to maintain in the Ukrainian environment because this is what Austin said, or Pentagon anyway, said that they said that the tanks are too, the Abrams, they can't send Abrams tanks because they are too heavy and too costly and too hard to maintain. Really? I mean, you send what, $60 billion or 80 or something like this to Ukraine, and now you cry about Abrams tanks being too expensive. I don't know why this is such a big deal. I mean, they send almost everything over there. I mean, really, they sent Russian tanks. We say, well, the Russian tanks are garbage, or Soviet tanks, oh, these are the best. Okay, whatever it is, but you already sent tanks. Now, and I'm quoting that. I'm quoting. Germany tells us we will not give you Leopards. This is probably Ukrainian Solskin. Germans tells us we will not give you Leopards. Biden says we won't give you Abrams. They're heavy. This is nonsense, he said. I think it's nonsense, but that's what it is. Now, it says here that what are Leopards? Leopards are obviously some heavy German tanks, and what can you do? Say Germany operates just a fraction of the Leopard 2S in service, with its inventory consisting of just 328 tanks. So maybe that's what it is, because they claim that, oh, we don't have enough. The Leopard 2 tanks, 2S tanks, American cousins, has fared a little better in active conflict zones, while just 23 were damaged or destroyed during the Persian Gulf. Yeah, but you have to take into consideration who you fought over there. And I'm not trying to look down on Iraq, but that was a long time ago and things changed. And I think it's not the same thing here. Now, another article says here that Germany's indecision on Leopard 2 tanks ridiculous, says the Ukrainian foreign minister. I think it is. This comes from the republicworld.com from today, the 21st of January. And it says, Andriy Melnik, Ukraine's deputy foreign minister, expressed disappointment over Germany's indecision on whether to send Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. They don't want to do it. Obviously, don't want to do it. I mean, really. It's just you. I think it seems like you will expose yourself as a country to the Russians, whatever they can do to you. Now I don't know if that's something that they should take into consideration, but I don't think they want to anger Russians. And another article here from the New Voice of Ukraine from the 20th of January 2023. No agreement on Leopard tanks supplied to Ukraine reached at Ramstein. Defense ministers meeting at Ramstein failed to approve the shipment of Leopard 2 tanks shipment to Ukraine. German newspaper Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung reported on January 20th, citing Germany's defense ministers Boris Pistorius, that's the new one. So Pistorius said Western defense ministers didn't manage to come to a shared view of transferring German-made tanks to the Ukrainian army, and I'm quoting, all pros and cons must be weighed very carefully, he said. Poland's Minister of National Defense, Mariusz Blaszczak, confirmed that the decision about the tank transfer hadn't been made. But I think they really want to send them. And, well, we got another defense minister saying they didn't reach a consensus. So he says, now this is interesting what the Poles says. In contrast to German uncertainty, Polish President Duda, Andrzej Duda, announced during his visit to Lviv on January 11th that Ukrainian army would receive a company of Leopard tanks supplied by an international coalition. Well, everything, as I said, is dead and in the water. Now we have another article here coming from the same oops, let's see what the hell I did here. Yeah, the same source that Berlin ready to send Leopard tanks to Ukraine once allies reach consensus, says German defense minister. So they don't want to act alone. And they say, well, we don't have a consensus, but why is everybody focused on Germany? I mean, why is no other country from NATO saying, okay, you know what, I'm going to supply this and that? It's very weasel-like when you say, well, Poland has Leopard 2 tanks, they can deliver it, but why don't you deliver some Abrams? Do you have any Abrams? Why don't you do that? Why don't you just send some Abrams to Poland, and Poland could deliver it to Ukraine, and therefore you put a little on you, Poland, if you're so eager to do this. Why do you try to drag Germany into it? Well, because as de Gaulle of France says, right, the Europeans must remember two things. America doesn't live in Europe, so it's not here. So they are far away from Europe. And the second one, England or Great Britain is an island. These are two very important things. They're outsiders. We are here. So where these guys are trying, Americans are trying to draw in the Germans and the French into something with Russia, but they again are far away watching. Like right now, these guys are watching how Ukrainians are fighting the Russians with these guys' weapons and planning and strategy and all that. They want to basically say, you guys fight over there, destroy yourself, and then we come over. Remember the Second World War? During World War, Europe was destroyed. Who came over and helped? And then became the number one economically and so on. Before the Second World War, the United States of America was not the leading economic power in the world or military. It was Germany, among others, right? Germany was the main thing at that time. I remember in Europe, I have people saying, well, Germany, you want to, yeah, United States, but Germany. What? It was the hegemony of German influence, economic, political, and cultural in Europe. Sorry to say it, but that was what it was then. Between the First World War and the Second World War. Now and then, after these guys blew themselves up, the Americans came and they provided help with the Marshall Plan, which was good, but at the same time they took over, which. Again, you don't come to help. I help you here, but I take this. I mean, otherwise, why would I do this? Just because I'm an ally and a friend? Yeah, that's how the story goes. Anyway, so these guys are weasels, and they are very hesitant in sending and upsetting somehow Russia with tanks. Poland said that they already sent 240 T-72s or something like that tanks so far. So what's a Leopard 2? I mean, do you think those the Leopards gonna reach Moscow in a week or something? I really um, uh, doubt that. And how many tanks are you gonna send? 3,000 or five? I mean, again, the same thing with like the HIMARS. Or the HIMARS changed the whole course of history over there. I don't believe that either. And I don't think there were only about 20 HIMARS batteries or systems before the war started. I mean, not before, because they said there was nothing, and then we just brought up to 20 or something. And now I think they brought some more out to 27, 28. I don't believe that 28 did such an excellent job and blew everything. Maybe they did, but I have my own doubts. Can I have my own doubts? Or am I that kind of denier and that kind of denier? That's why I should be shut up. Maybe, I don't know, put in a prison and beaten to death. Which one? Well, we might get to that point if I see how things are escalating in this free world, where you're gonna be just, you say the wrong thing and you go to a little jail for how long these guys want. That's an escalation, but hey, I never thought that speaking your mind without making threats or anything like that could get you in trouble, but hey, you get in trouble. So, I can see a trend, actually, a trend. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just, my friends.